Hello everybody, it's your boy Jet here, and the first two Sonic movies were highly successful, and after this is the second movie, Paramount decided to make a spin-off TV show that sets in between the events of Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 that focuses on Knuckles the Echidna, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's do that, shall we? The Knuckles TV show follows Knuckles as he gets grounded for constantly causing chaos in the Wachowski family home, and not long after gets a visit from the ghost of his father, Chief Pachacamac, who tells him he needs to teach an apprentice, and so Knuckles sets out to teach him, and as the two travel to Reno, Nevada so Wade can compete in a bowling tournament, mind you, his apprentice is Wade, he aims to teach Wade the way of the Echidna, which results in Wade getting into a conflict with Gun, as well as gaining some confidence in himself through their trip, which comes to a head when they get to Reno alongside Wade's mom and sister, and Wade runs into his father, who seemingly begins to bond with him after he makes it to the finals of the tournament with Suzy, only to be betrayed by his father, who not only rats him out to Gun, but holds his mom and sister hostage, hoping this will cause Wade to surrender the tournament. But when Knuckles gets there, it's revealed Knuckles had been listening to the entire conversation. Knuckles faces off against the Gun agents who had been hunting them. Meanwhile, Wade sneaks in to rescue his mom and sister. Knuckles defeats the Gun agents, and Wade goes out to face his father in the finals of the tournament. While Wade and his father bowl, Knuckles hears a lot of screaming and terror outside and goes to check it out, getting into a fight with the Buyer. Man, the Gun agents had been planning to tell Knuckles too. While they fight outside, Wade eventually manages to beat his father before Wade finds out about the chaos going on and goes to help Knuckles, who gets his energy drained by the Buyer's machine, but Wade, alongside the help of his mother and sister, gives a speech to Knuckles, hoping he can hear him as he faces off against the Buyer, and upon hearing Wade's speech, Knuckles gets back up and takes his power back from the Buyer's mech, awakening to a new power called the Flames of Disaster, and using his newfound power, he defeats the Buyer, and afterwards, Knuckles and Wade make their way back to Green Hills, and the show ends. Honestly, story-wise, the show is just meh. Like, it's not horrible. Frankly, my biggest issue with the show is that in a show called Knuckles, it doesn't really feel like a Knuckles show. For a show called Knuckles, for a show where the majority of the promo material focuses on Knuckles, for a show that seems at its base to be about Knuckles doesn't really feel like he matters to the show, because for all intents and purposes, it's not a Knuckles show, it's a Wade show. The first two episodes put most of the focus on Knuckles, but once episode 2 hits, it becomes clear that Knuckles isn't really the main character of the Knuckles show. Wade is, as the entire episode, and really every subsequent episode except the finale, is mostly about Wade. While I don't have an issue with the idea itself, I do have an issue with the execution. An example of the same idea to me with better execution in the same franchise is Sonic's part of 06, as it sets up from the get-go his part of the story is mainly going to be about Princess Elise, and much like the show, 06 has multiple main characters, those being Silver, Shadow, Sonic, and of course Elise. While Silver and Shadow are both deeply involved with Mephiles and his side of things, Sonic is involved completely with the Elise side of everything that's going on. There are very few times where the two are separated, and when they are separated, it puts focus on Sonic trying to get to Elise, and during the bits and pieces where you get to see Elise alone or the slow moments of the game, these things still feel like they're going forward as you learn more about Elise, the Flames of Disaster, and a different part of the story that's happening at the same time. It keeps you engaged with the way it handles everything, it still pulls me in, whereas the slow moments in this show mostly feel pointless, mainly because the slow moments in this show are mostly used for jokes or building the relationship between Knuckles and Wade, which that second half is fine, but if you're gonna slow things down for the sake of comedy, the jokes have to land, and at least for me, most of the jokes don't land, which result in me being pulled out of it all. Now, I'm not against the idea of Wade getting some spotlight and pushing him to learn some confidence, but I feel like in execution, the show doesn't do a great job of doing that. Not terrible, but it all feels like it just happens a bit too fast. Like the first 3 episodes, Wade is the same goofy, dumb dork from the first 2 movies. Then in episode 4, he gets kidnapped by Jack, and after getting a speech from Pachacamac in the form of a rock opera, he breaks out of the cage, Jack has him kept, faces him in a duel, and wins. And by the end, now he's got full confidence in himself. In just 1 episode, Wade's suddenly super confident, despite taking 0 major steps to do so, and gaining some confidence, except for the second episode. Even then, the entire time, he's still a nervous wreck. Like, bro, in 1 episode, went from nervous, goofy, fucking wreck of a man to fucking Johnny Bravo, where the hoes at, nigga? Like, what the hell? And honestly, I feel like this is a result of the show being so short, as it's only 6 episodes, and frankly, I feel like an extra few episodes would benefit just to build more on the whole Wade gaining confidence thing. Like, it's not terrible, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. That's a recurring issue with this entire show. Since one of the things I can't stand though, I cannot stand Wade's sister Wanda. She's so fucking annoying. Her entire character is putting Wade down, and when basically every other character except Wade's mom and Knuckles put him down, you don't need a character whose entire bit is arguing with Wade, antagonizing him, and putting him down constantly, especially when they're supposed to be on the protagonist's side. I'd be fine with it if her jokes and jabs at Wade were at least funny or entertaining, but they aren't. They literally ruined one of the best moments in the show just to have her make a jab at Wade. Hell, Kid Cudi is funnier than her, and his jokes aren't even that funny. And the reason I'm harping so much on the jokes and the comedy is because this is a comedy show more than anything else. And I feel like the biggest sin for, again, a comedy show is for the comedy to not stick the landing. That's not to say all the jokes in the show are bad. There are a few good jokes here and there that got a good chuckle out of me.
It means no battling enemies.
No leaving your room on quests.
And most of all, no warrioring.
How dare you? In the name of great Chief Pachacamac, I swear you will regret the day you...
Excuse me?
You will regret the day you...
Knuckles, word of advice. Do not mess with Maddie when she's this mad.
Very well, pretzel woman. I will accept my grounding with honor.
Train him as a warrior. The fate of the Echidna is in your... Oh! Stupid window. How does this ghost stuff even work? Oh, there we go. Our fate is in your hands.
What's going on?
Thank you for your work, Agent Fairley. You are dismissed.
I hear the mushroom planting is beautiful this time of year, my friend. Enjoy!
You're pretty proud of yourself for someone who just kicked an unsuspecting man in the chest.
Yeah, I am.
Right, come on. Right, let's go. We got him.
Cool. But to be clear, he didn't save me. I sacrificed myself, which created a distraction, which resulted in a diversion, which... All right, let's call it a team effort. Don't come in here.
Wade, are you injured? I thought I heard the quiet sobs of a child.
I know, I don't know what you heard because everything in here is fine.
Woo! Karaoke time. You ready, Susie's dad, whose name I can't remember?
For the third time, it's Bill.
I don't care.
Gwendolyn,
Peter, where'd you pick up that phony posh accent? You're from Slough.
you know, this is just like you not to take me seriously.
Good morning, sunbeams will soon shine through. Good morning to you and you and you and you. Good morning.
I think today is going to be a beautiful day.
Knuckles, help me!
You gonna rescue him?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Do something, Mr. Jorgensen!
In order to become a true warrior, he must learn to rescue himself.
They're gone!
Wade is going to be just fine.
No, I'm not!
Those jokes aside, most of the jokes and gags in the show don't do anything for me. Hell, I'm not even joking when I say this. At one point when I was watching it for this video, I legitimately fell asleep because I was so pulled out of everything, and that is something that has legit never happened to me before. I know I've been super negative in this video, but the show isn't all bad. The fight choreography is solid, I'm not gonna lie. Especially the scene where Wade's mom and Knuckles are fighting in the kitchen is especially cool. Seeing Wade's mom beating up two bounty hunters with Knuckles with frying pans was fire. She put belt to ass. It is a nice way of putting to use the fact that she used to be a Krav Maga instructor. Something mentioned earlier in the episode to get Wade and Wanda to stop arguing. That's a recurring thing throughout the show. They used to do different camera shots and techniques and so on, especially during the bowling tournament. It is amazing. Wade's mom is also the one driving the cart with the bowling balls that Wade throws at the buyer, and then at the end she knocks out Pistol Pete in one punch. For an old lady, Wendy is a fucking G, dog. The thing I kinda like is what they did with Pachacamac in the show, as this version of Pachacamac is Knuckles' father. The change I kinda like is in the games, Knuckles is just his descendant and the father of Tikal, but the movies don't have Tikal, so to include Pachacamac in some form, they make him Knuckles' father. I do hope they include Tikal in some form in the movies, but it works out for right now. Something that didn't work out as well for me, though, is the villains of the show. I don't have much to say about Agent Mason or Agent Willoughby. They feel like they're just kind of there for most of the show, to be honest, though I do enjoy Agent Mason's constant shit-talking. He even references the first line from Sonic 2, where he says,
You're never going to get my power.
Do I look like I need your power?
he even does his own, there's even its own rendition of it in this show, that very scene from movie 2, but now the position is flipped, now it's Knuckles in Sonic's position.
You think you can take my power? Do I look like I need your power?
It's awesome. Nice little callback. I also really like the conflict with Pistol Pete, especially because Wade clearly looks up to his father, and so when he betrays Wade, you can clearly see that it crushes him, but also serves as his drive and ability to go against his father. But the villain I have the most to say about it is the show's main villain, the Buyer, which first and foremost, I hate that name, because we literally never get a name for him at any point in the show. He's only referred to by Agent Willoughby as the Buyer, as he's the one who contributed not only to track Knuckles, but also sent them weapons they used for the entire show to go after Knuckles. His former agent Dr. Eggman explains why he goes after Knuckles, since Knuckles was involved in Eggman's defeat at the end of movie 2, so it makes sense he have beef with him, as well as Sonic and Tails. Also, he has a ton of Knuckles' quills, which is a curious thing, and it makes you ask questions later in the show, which are answered later in the show, when it's stated that Knuckles as well as Sonic and Tails, they shed, meaning these quills are just laying around out there, but that's the whole other thing. What I want to know is, outside of the fact that Gunn tried to have him killed and that he used to work for Eggman, why do we get nothing about him? We know nothing about the guy who's supposed to be the show's main villain. Not even at the very least a name. And that's just something that irks me a lot personally, because Willoughby and Mason got names. The two other major villains of the show, they got names. He gets nothing. And it is beyond irritating for me. Simply because he is supposed to be the show's main villain and he feels so unimportant. It sucks. Another thing that kinda sucks and bums me out a little bit is how few references there are in the show. It makes sense as a short show, but the first 2 movies are chock full of references to the wider Sonic franchise, and while the show does have some, it doesn't have nearly as many as you would expect at this point. Such as how they include Knuckles' iconic hat from the OVA as originally being Jack's bounty hunter hat, the Flames of Disaster being a reference to Sonic 06, and so on. Like I mentioned, you've also got the little callback to Sonic 2. It's likely that the Buyer is also a reference himself, possibly based on villains from the comics, those being Dr. Zachary from the Fleetway Sonic comic, and Dr. Finitivis from the Archie comics, all 3 being villains and specifically enemies of Knuckles who are all doctors. Finitivis and Zachary are both old echidnas, as well as all 3 being heavily associated with weapons and machinery in some way. Finitivis and the Buyer also make weapons that are ring-based. There's not many musical references though, which kind of blows, but it is what it is. That said, there's not much else I can think of to say about the Knuckles show, and overall, it's a mediocre, slow, and kind of boring show that doesn't really do much for me. It doesn't really feel like a Knuckles show, and for all intents and purposes, it isn't, but it also doesn't really feel like you even need to watch this show. At the end of this video going up, I've already watched the Sonic movie, and I'm working on that video now, and frankly, all you need this show for is to explain how Knuckles gets his Fire Fist and Knuckles and Wade being friends, which ties into something that's a spoiler for that movie. That is it, and honestly, it feels like the show is made just to make it, so they could put something out between Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and do something with the character of Knuckles. But with all that being said, I'm gonna stop wasting time now. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and if you didn't, how much I suck about the YouTuber, Vtuber, comment section down below. Peace out and enjoy yourselves, everybody.
K-N-C-K-L-E-S, for a lifetime on